I'm a 32-year-old guy, and my younger sister Lisa, 28, recently got married. We've always been on decent terms. Not super close, but we got along well enough. Lisa has always been the kind of person who spends first and thinks later, while I've always been more careful with money. So when she announced that she and her fiancé Matt were planning a small, budget-friendly wedding, I figured it would be simple, low cost, and drama-free. I was very, very wrong. Lisa made it sound like she wanted something intimate and minimal, a backyard ceremony, close family and friends, nothing over the top. My parents were thrilled because, according to them, weddings are a waste of money, and this was a refreshing approach. Lisa talked about how it would be a beautiful, simple day without unnecessary expenses. I thought it was a great idea. Then the hints started. At first, it was subtle. My mom mentioned in passing that since I was doing well financially, maybe I could help out a little with the wedding. I didn't think much of it at the time. A few days later, Lisa sent me a message about her wedding dress, saying she had found the one but it was a little out of her budget. I figured I'd be a good brother and offered to buy it as my wedding gift to her. She was ecstatic, and I felt good about it, until I realized that my gift was just the beginning. Not long after, Lisa called me, stressing about the catering deposit. Apparently they had planned on doing something small, but now they wanted a buffet-style meal for the guests, and it was turning out to be more expensive than expected. She told me that since I had already helped with the dress, she didn't want to ask, but she was really in a tough spot. I covered the deposit. Then it was the chairs, and the decorations, and the flowers. Every time I thought I was done helping, something else popped up. Lisa would say things like, "We were going to go without this, but it would really make the wedding so much nicer," or "I feel bad even asking, but I just don't know what else to do." My parents kept chiming in too, telling me how much it meant to Lisa, how it would make her happy, how family supports each other. Meanwhile, Matt, her fiancé, never offered to cover anything. Not once. Every time I was over at my parents' house, he was there, talking about his new gaming console or how he was planning a guy's trip after the wedding. He wasn't worried about the wedding expenses at all. Lisa would mention another small favor they needed, and he would just nod along, completely unbothered, as if it had nothing to do with him. By the time the wedding day arrived, I had spent over $10,000, yet Lisa continued to insist that it was a budget wedding when anyone could see it, had gone way beyond that. The day itself was a disaster. Guests showed up expecting a full dinner, but Lisa had only planned for some light snacks. People started getting annoyed, and to avoid a scene, I ended up calling a catering service at the last minute to bring in trays of food. Another unexpected expense. Lisa barely noticed. Instead, she spent the evening nitpicking about small things. The napkins weren't the exact shade of ivory she wanted. The DJ played a song she didn't like. The bridesmaids' bouquets were slightly smaller than she imagined. My parents thanked me for everything, but it was clear they thought of my contributions as just helping family. Then, right as I thought I was finally free, my mom casually mentioned how Lisa and Matt would love a honeymoon but hadn't planned one yet because they just couldn't afford it. I didn't say anything at the time, but that was the mom and taught it. I decided I was done. A week after the wedding, Lisa called. She was in a great mood, going on and on about how perfect the day was. She talked about how beautiful everything looked, how people kept telling her it was the best wedding they'd ever attended. Then she casually brought up how she and Matt hadn't planned a honeymoon yet. She explained that they'd been too focused on making the wedding special and didn't have the budget left for a trip. Then, she dropped the real reason for the call. She wanted me to cover their honeymoon. She had already picked out the place. A luxury resort in the Maldives, overwater bungalows, private infinity pools, spa treatments, the works. She even sent a link to the website, saying it would be the perfect way to start their marriage. At first, it seemed like a joke. I laughed, expecting her to laugh too. She didn't. She was completely serious. She kept saying how much it would mean the world to her, especially after all the stress of wedding planning. When I told her no, she didn't take it well. She reminded me that I'd already helped so much. So what was a little more to make sure they had the honeymoon of their dreams? I told her I was done paying for anything wedding related. That's when the guilt tripping started. She brought up how she had always looked up to me, how she never thought I'd be so cold about something so important. She tried to make it seem like it wasn't about the money, but about supporting family. I didn't budge. Not long after, my mom called. Lisa had told her everything. Mom said Lisa was devastated and that I should at least consider helping. She talked about how I was financially stable, how Lisa wasn't as lucky, and how I'd already done so much. So why stop now? I told her that Lisa and Matt were adults and needed to take responsibility for their own lives. That didn't go over well. Within hours, it was all over the family group chat. Lisa didn't outright say my name, but she made a post about how some people have the power to make dreams come true but choose not to. A couple of aunts started commenting about how sad it was that family can be so selfish. A cousin messaged me, asking what was going on. Then Matt texted. The same Matt who had barely lifted a finger to contribute to his own wedding was now acting like I was the bad guy for not funding his honeymoon. It was the first time he had any real input, and of course it was about money. He said I should want to see her enjoy her honeymoon, and that it wasn't about money, it was about showing up for her. I told him I had already shown up by spending $10K on their so-called budget wedding. I asked why he, as her husband, wasn't the one making sure she got her dream honeymoon. His response? They were broke because of the wedding. The same wedding they barely paid for. Lisa sent another message not long after. this time a long emotional text about how I was ruining her newlywed experience. She said she never expected this from me, that she thought I cared more, that I was punishing her for needing help. It didn't stop there. My parents weighed in again, saying Lisa was so stressed and that I should just help for the sake of peace. They told me she had been crying all day, heartbroken over how I was treating her. I told them all the same thing. I was done. Lisa stopped responding after that. The next time I checked, she had removed me from her social media. No more tagged wedding photos. No more posts about her amazing big brother. It was like I had been cut out completely. Even though I knew I had done the right thing, it still felt strange. A part of me wondered if I had been too harsh. But deep down, I knew the truth. I hadn't ruined anything. I had just finally said no. A few days after Lisa removed me from her social media, I started getting messages from mutual friends. They were sending screenshots of Lisa's posts, long emotional paragraphs about how some people only care when it's convenient, and how family can turn their back on you the moment you need them most. She never mentioned me by name, but it was obvious who she was talking about. The comments were split. Some people were sympathetic, telling her to stay strong and that true family always shows up. Others were confused, asking what happened. Lisa never responded to those. She just kept posting vague, dramatic updates about how hurt she was, and how she never expected this betrayal. Then my phone started blowing up. A couple of mutual friends reached out, asking if everything was okay between me and Lisa. One even straight up asked if I had refused to help her with something. Apparently, Lisa had been telling people a heavily edited version of events, leaving out the part where I had already spent $10K on her wedding. She made it sound like I had cruelly abandoned her, refusing to help with even a small part of her honeymoon. Then my parents called. They wanted me to come over because we needed to talk. When I arrived, Lisa and Matt were already there. Lisa was crying. My mom looked upset. My dad looked exhausted. Lisa started talking first. Between sniffles, she went on about how hard wedding planning had been, how much stress she had been under, how all she wanted was one special thing for herself. Then, she pulled out a piece of paper and slid it across the table. It was an itinerary for their dream honeymoon. Flights, resort booking, spa packages. Everything was already planned out. My first question was, how did you afford this? Lisa shrugged, saying they had put down a partial deposit, assuming I'd cover the rest. I stared at it, confused. How could they afford this? Lisa quickly clarified that they had put it on a travel credit plan, fully expecting I'd cover the rest. She looked at me, waiting for my reaction. My parents sat quietly, watching. Matt just leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. I picked up the paper and scanned it. A luxury resort, all-inclusive, private excursions. It was easily a few $1,000s. I put the paper down and asked why they had booked this when they didn't have the money. Lisa looked at me like I was speaking a different language. She said they assumed I would help. Since I had already paid for the wedding, they figured I would want to make sure she had a beautiful honeymoon too. I lost it. I asked them why they thought it was okay to commit to something so expensive based on money I never promised them. Lisa burst into tears, saying she didn't think it would be a big deal and that she would have paid me back eventually. Matt jumped in, saying I had humiliated them by making them beg for money. He went on about how embarrassing it was for Lisa to have to ask in the first place, like I was the bad guy for putting them in this position. Then my parents spoke up. My mom, ever the peacemaker, suggested that maybe I could just cover enough to stop Lisa and Matt from losing their deposit. My dad, however, remained silent, his expression unreadable, but I could tell even he was beginning to see the absurdity of it all. My mom said it was just a little push to make things right again. My dad, who had been silent for most of the conversation, finally spoke up and said maybe Lisa and Matt should have planned within their means instead of assuming someone else would cover it. Lisa snapped. She went from crying to full meltdown in seconds. She accused me of not caring about her happiness, of treating her like she was a burden. She screamed that I had destroyed her honeymoon and that I was just doing this to make her suffer. She stormed out of the house. That night, she made another post. This time, it was even more dramatic. Money changes people, she wrote. Some people pretend to care but never show up when it matters. The comments were filled with support from people who had no idea what was actually going on. Then the extended family got involved. A few aunts and uncles messaged me, some telling me they understood, others shaming me for abandoning my sister. One aunt went on about how family should help each other and that I should at least try to fix things. Then Matt sent one last text. He said I could have handled this better, but that he still thought I should have helped. I blocked him. Then I blocked Lisa. I was done. Maybe I could have handled things differently, but after everything, I knew one thing for sure. I was never going to be their ATM again. A few days after I blocked Lisa and Matt, my mom called. She wasn't happy. She started going on about how I was being too harsh on Lisa, how she was struggling, how families should support each other no matter what. She said Lisa was heartbroken over the situation, and that I needed to be the bigger person and make things right. I told her I had already done more than enough. She didn't want to hear it. Then my dad called me separately. His tone was different. He told me he actually agreed with me. Lisa and Matt had taken things too far, but he didn't want to fight with my mom over it, so he was just keeping quiet. He admitted Lisa had always been a bit entitled, but my mom had a soft spot for her and always made excuses. He ended the call by saying he didn't blame me for stepping back. I thought that would be the end of it. Then a cousin texted me out of nowhere. He sent a link. Lisa created a GoFundMe. The title, Help us have the honeymoon we deserve. After a difficult wedding. At first, some people donated, but then the truth started circulating. Friends and extended family began calling her out, asking where all the money from the wedding had gone. Lisa quickly deleted negative comments, but the damage was done. Her credibility was shot. The description was even worse. Lisa wrote about how their wedding had been a financial disaster due to unexpected costs. She made it sound like they had been forced to cut corners, implying they hadn't been able to afford things like food or decorations. She painted a picture of a couple who had sacrificed everything for love and now just needed a little help to have the honeymoon they had always dreamed of. The comments were full of sympathy. You guys deserve this. I wish I could give more. She conveniently left out the part where I had already paid for most of the wedding. A few of my friends saw it and messaged me asking if I knew about it. They didn't buy Lisa's sob story. One of them commented on the fundraiser asking what unexpected costs she was talking about. The comment got deleted within minutes. Then Lisa took it a step further. She made a public post about how certain people in her life could have helped but chose not to, and how strangers were more generous than family. It was obvious she was talking about me. The fundraiser barely raised anything. A few distant relatives and some of Lisa's friends donated, but the total amount was nowhere near what they needed. Even after days of posting about it, they had only managed a couple of $100s. Then one of my aunts called me. She said Lisa was heartbroken and that maybe, just maybe, I could surprise her with some money to make things right. I shut that down immediately. I told her Lisa and Matt were grown adults who needed to fund their own lives. If they wanted a honeymoon, they could save for it like everyone else. Lisa didn't take that well. Later that night, I got a wall of text from her. She went on and on about how she had always thought we were close, how she never expected me to abandon her like this, how she just wanted one nice thing after all the stress of planning the wedding. Then Matt jumped in. He texted me separately, accusing me of tearing the family apart over money. He said I should have just helped, that it wouldn't have been a big deal for me, and that I was making Lisa miserable for no reason. Then the real betrayal happened. A different cousin messaged me with screenshots from a private family group chat. My own mom had been venting about how she was embarrassed by my behavior. She told relatives she couldn't believe I was treating Lisa this way and that she didn't raise me to be selfish. That was it. I called my parents and confronted them. I asked my mom why she was trashing me behind my back instead of just saying it to my face. She didn't deny it. Instead, she doubled down. She said Lisa just wanted to be treated equally and that I had handled things too harshly. My dad apologized. He admitted he felt bad about the whole situation, but that my mom had always given Lisa special treatment. He didn't agree with her, but he wasn't going to fight about it either. I decided I was done. I stopped responding to Lisa's messages. I ignored Matt's attempts to guilt trip me. I muted the family group chat and stepped away from the drama completely. Lisa could throw as many tantrums as she wanted. I wasn't playing this game anymore. A few weeks passed with complete silence from Lisa and Matt. No texts, no calls, no drama. I thought maybe they had finally moved on. Then, out of nowhere, Lisa called. Her voice was cheerful, like nothing had happened. She started talking about random things, work, family updates, some show she was watching. She even mentioned missing our conversations, saying she wanted to put all the past drama behind us. I knew where this was going. After a few minutes of small talk, she finally got to the real reason for the call. She brought up the GoFundMe, casually mentioning that it didn't do as well as they hoped. Then she asked if I'd reconsider helping out with the honeymoon. I shut it down immediately. I told her I wasn't changing my mind. I had already given more than enough, and if they couldn't afford a luxury honeymoon, then they simply couldn't afford it. That's when the fake niceness disappeared. Lisa started crying, going on about how she just wanted one perfect thing in her life. She talked about how unfair it was that she and Matt had to struggle while I had so much. She kept pushing, trying to make me feel guilty, but I wasn't giving in. A few hours later, I got a Venmo request from Matt. $5,000, labeled for family. No message, no explanation, just a passive-aggressive request for money. I didn't respond. I just declined it. Then a mutual friend reached out. Apparently Lisa and Matt were still telling people they were going to the Maldives. They had convinced some of their friends that the honeymoon was happening, even though they clearly didn't have the money for it. Turns out, they had booked a last-minute budget trip to Florida instead. A different cousin later confirmed it. Lisa had posted a few pictures of palm trees and the beach, but there were no mentions of overwater bungalows or luxury spas. She was still trying to act like it was some grand vacation, but the reality was much different. Instead of admitting the truth, Lisa tried to rewrite the narrative. She started posting about how she had always wanted a relaxing beach trip instead of something extravagant. She made it sound like Florida was her dream destination all along. Then came the guilt tripping. Lisa made another vague post about people who pretend to care, but never show up when it counts. She made sure to throw in a few lines about how material things don't matter, and how she had learned who truly supports her. Matt, of course, couldn't let it go either. Instead of keeping things private, he went on Reddit and posted in a wedding forum, writing a dramatic post about how money ruins family relationships. He talked about how his wife's own brother refused to help them have a honeymoon, despite having the means to do so. Then someone recognized the story. A Reddit user put two and two together and tagged me in the comments. They pointed out the GoFundMe, Lisa's social media posts, and all the drama. It didn't take long before Matt's post got flooded with responses dragging him and Lisa for their entitlement. It was brutal. People called them out for expecting handouts, lying about their financial situation, and trying to manipulate family members. Some even went through Lisa's public posts and exposed her contradictions, like her suddenly claiming she always wanted a simple honeymoon when she had been begging for a luxury one just weeks before. Not long after, Lisa and Matt blocked me on everything. No more calls, no more texts, no more guilt trips. They cut contact completely, at least for now. A few weeks after Lisa and Matt blocked me, my mom called again. This time it wasn't about money, it was about the family. She started talking about how things weren't the same with Lisa and me not speaking. She kept bringing up family gatherings, how it felt awkward, how Lisa was still hurt but missed me deep down. She suggested that I reach out, maybe offer an olive branch to fix things. I told her the only person who needed to make things right was Lisa. Not long after, Lisa reached out. A short text popped up on my phone, sorry for how things got out of hand. It was dry, emotionless, like she was checking a box. Then, before I could even process it, another message followed, but I hope we can move past this and you can still help us out if you're willing. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't an apology, it was another attempt at getting money. I didn't respond. The extended family drama didn't die down though. Some relatives kept pressuring me, saying Lisa was struggling and that I should just let things go. Others admitted they saw right through her entitlement but didn't want to be the ones to call her out. Then the real fallout started. Lisa and Matt's financial situation took a serious hit. Word got around that they were drowning in debt. Between the wedding, their failed honeymoon attempt, and their general lifestyle, they had overextended themselves. Then Matt lost his job. A mutual friend mentioned that he had been let go due to performance issues. That left Lisa as the only one bringing in money. Suddenly, her posts about living her best life disappeared. Instead, she started hinting that things were rough and that times were tough. Then came the next handout attempt. Lisa started dropping hints to my parents. Subtle at first, mentioning how expensive things were, how bills were piling up, how she and Matt were just trying to get back on their feet. My mom, of course, caved. She and my dad started giving Lisa money despite their own financial struggles. They didn't announce it to the family, but news travels fast. It didn't take long before one of my uncles found out, and he wasn't happy. One night, the family group chat exploded. My uncle outright called Lisa out, saying she was mooching off her parents instead of owning up to her own mistakes. Lisa immediately went into defense mode. She insisted she never asked for anything. Her parents offered. She claimed they just wanted to help, and she didn't see why anyone had a problem with that. No one bought it. Meanwhile, Matt started selling personal belongings online. His gaming console, some electronics, even a few wedding gifts. People started noticing, and it became obvious that they were desperate for money. I won't lie, it was hard not to feel a little bit of karma in all of this. Lisa and Matt had spent months trying to manipulate people for money, and now, they were dealing with the consequences of their entitlement. But I didn't dwell on it. I was done. While they were scrambling, I was moving on with my life. No more drama, no more guilt trips, no more handouts. Lisa and Matt had made their choices. Now they had to live with them. A month passed and things got quieter. No calls, no texts, no more guilt trips. At least, not directly. But then, a cousin reached out with an update. Lisa and Matt were months behind on rent and barely keeping up with their bills. The money my parents had given them wasn't enough, and with Matt still unemployed, things were getting worse. Lisa had stopped posting about her perfect newlywed life. No more staged couple photos, no more passive-aggressive posts about selfish family members. Then, out of nowhere, Lisa texted me. She didn't waste time pretending we were fine. Instead, she asked if I could loan them some money until Matt found a new job. Not give. Loan. Like that made a difference. Before I could even respond, she sent another message, playing the family card. She said I wouldn't even notice a few thousand missing from my bank account, that I was doing well and she was my sister. That family is supposed to help each other. I shut it down immediately. I told her I wasn't helping, and that she and Matt needed to figure things out on their own. That's when she snapped. She flipped out, calling me selfish, saying I was watching my own sister struggle without caring. She accused me of turning my back on her when she needed me most. An hour later, my mom called. Lisa had gone to her, saying she was desperate. My mom, of course, tried to guilt me into helping, saying, it's just temporary, and Lisa isn't in a good place. I told her the truth. Lisa and Matt dug their own hole, and I wasn't their personal ATM. After a long pause, my mom sighed and said she was disappointed. That family should help family. Later that night, my dad texted me privately. He told me he completely understood why I was standing firm. He didn't agree with how Lisa had been acting either, but he didn't want to argue with my mom about it. He said Lisa needed to grow up, and maybe this was the only way she'd learn. Then things got even worse. A different cousin sent me screenshots. Lisa was now begging people for money on Venmo. She was messaging distant relatives and old friends, claiming she was in a bad situation and asking if they could spare anything. She even tried to make it seem like she was raising money for an emergency. But the details were vague. A few relatives saw through it immediately and ignored her requests, but some actually sent her money. Meanwhile, Matt started selling random things online. Household items, old furniture, even some of their wedding gifts. It was clear they were running out of options. Then came Matt's job struggles. A mutual friend told me Matt had been struggling to get hired. Apparently, he had a reputation for being unreliable. Past employers weren't giving him good recommendations, and he had already burned bridges with some potential job leads. Lisa, of course, had a new plan. She suddenly announced that she was starting a business. She was now branding herself as a luxury event planner. Yes, the same Lisa whose own wedding was a disaster was now claiming to be an expert at organizing high-end events. A few people from our family checked out her website, and it was laughable. It was full of stock photos, vague descriptions, and fake testimonials. She even made up a name for a past client who supposedly raved about her services. No one bought it. One of my aunts refused to lend Lisa money, and Lisa lashed out in the family group chat. She ranted about how no one was supporting her dreams, and how she was trying to build something while people like me were sitting on piles of money doing nothing. That was the last straw. I blocked her and Matt on everything. No more texts, no more calls, no more updates. They were on their own now. A few months passed, and for once, I wasn't hearing anything about Lisa or Matt. No texts, no calls, no social media guilt trips. But then, a mutual friend reached out with an update. Lisa and Matt were fighting constantly. Apparently, money was the #1 issue. Lisa was frustrated that Matt still wasn't working, and Matt was tired of Lisa's spending habits. Their luxury event planning business had gone nowhere, and between their rent bills and Lisa's attempts to maintain her Instagram-worthy lifestyle, they were sinking fast. Lisa, of course, didn't keep it private. She started posting cryptic messages on social media. Things like, a relationship should be 50-50ths, not one person carrying all the weight, and some people talk about plans, others make them happen. Then something strange happened. Matt suddenly deleted his Facebook and Instagram. No explanation, just gone. People started asking questions. Was he embarrassed? Did they break up? Was there something bigger going on? Lisa didn't address it directly, but she kept posting about how she deserved better. Then she made her next move. Lisa started reaching out to family members she barely spoke to. Cousins, aunts, even distant relatives. She suddenly missed them and wanted to reconnect. Of course, it wasn't just about reconnecting. After a few casual messages, she would bring up how things had been a little tough lately and ask if they could help out with expenses. Most of them saw through it. A few ignored her completely. Some gave her small amounts out of pity. Then my mom caved again. Even though my parents weren't in the best financial position themselves, she sent Lisa more money. But this time, my dad snapped. After months of enabling, he had enough. He told Lisa she needed to figure things out herself, that she was a grown adult and had burned too many bridges. Lisa didn't take it well. The family group chat exploded. Lisa went on a full rant about how no one helps family anymore, accusing everyone of turning their backs on her. Some relatives called her out, telling her she was the one who mismanaged her money. Others stayed quiet, not wanting to get involved. Meanwhile, Matt's job search wasn't going well. Despite multiple interviews, he wasn't getting hired. A mutual friend mentioned that he had a reputation for being unreliable. Apparently, some of his past jobs didn't have great things to say about him. Then the worst thing happened for them. They got served an eviction notice. They had fallen too far behind on rent, and their landlord wasn't playing games. They had 30 days to leave. Then Lisa called me. After everything, she acted like nothing had happened. She made some small talk, then casually asked if she and Matt could stay with me just for a couple of months while they got back on their feet. I didn't even let her finish. I told her there was absolutely no way that was happening. Then came the final manipulation attempt. She pulled the butt, or family card again, saying she never thought I'd let her be homeless, that she didn't expect me to give them money, just a place to stay. I didn't budge. Then Matt disappeared from the drama completely. He stopped engaging, stopped sending passive-aggressive messages, stopped defending Lisa. A cousin spilled the tea. Lisa had been complaining that Matt wasn't ambitious enough and she was thinking about leaving him. Watching their whole situation implode, I felt vindicated. I had stayed out of their mess, and now they had no one left to bail them out. A month after Lisa and Matt got their eviction notice, it finally happened. Lisa kicked Matt out. She told people he never contributed enough, and that she was tired of carrying all the weight in the relationship. After months of complaining about his lack of ambition, she finally pulled the plug. Matt didn't fight it. Instead of begging to stay or trying to work things out, he just packed up his stuff and left. He moved in with a friend, didn't argue, didn't try to make a dramatic exit. He just walked away. Lisa, of course, didn't take this quietly. She went back to social media, posting dramatic updates about starting over and how some people aren't meant to grow with you. She threw in some motivational quotes about knowing your worth and removing dead weight from your life. Then she did something I did not expect. She reached out to me again. This time it wasn't just a guilt trip, it was a full reset attempt. She told me she wanted a fresh start, a new place, a new life. But first, she needed a little financial help to get back on her feet. She wasn't asking for rent money or food money. She wanted help getting a new apartment. A security deposit, first and last month's rent, thousands of dollars. I didn't even entertain the idea. I told her she needed to stand on her own and that I wasn't going to enable her anymore. She didn't take that well either. That night, she went on another online rant. This time she was talking about people who only care when it's convenient and how she was rebuilding her life alone. She threw in some pity posts about how hard life was, about being betrayed by those she trusted most. Then word spread that Lisa was looking into bankruptcy options. She had maxed out credit cards, defaulted on payments, and had creditors calling. Unlike her usual dramatics, this time it wasn't just for sympathy. She was genuinely out of options. Between the wedding, the failed honeymoon, the bills, and all the bad financial decisions, she was drowning. At that point, even my mom finally admitted Lisa had made bad choices. After months of defending her, she finally said Lisa needed to take responsibility. She admitted Lisa had been entitled, reckless, and manipulative. Then Lisa's event planning scam collapsed. After struggling to get a single client, her so-called business quietly disappeared. The website went down, and she stopped advertising herself as an expert in luxury weddings. It was another failed attempt at getting easy money. Over the next few months, Matt slowly started rebuilding his life. He took up gig work at first, gradually working his way into a stable job. It seemed that without Lisa's reckless spending, he was finally learning to manage money responsibly. He stopped complaining, stopped begging for handouts, and just moved on. Meanwhile, Lisa tried to rebrand. She started posting about growth and learning from past mistakes. She made it sound like she was on some big self-improvement journey, talking about cutting out toxic people and focusing on herself. Then my parents invited me over for dinner. For the first time, they admitted they should have seen Lisa's behavior for what it was sooner. They told me they regretted enabling her for so long and that they understood why I distanced myself. They didn't expect me to forgive her, but they wanted me to know they finally saw the truth. Then Lisa made one last attempt. She messaged me, claiming she was in therapy. She said she wanted to rebuild our relationship, that she was learning, growing, and wanted a chance to make things right. I told her I wished her well, but I didn't trust her. That was the last time I heard from her. With no more lifelines left, Lisa finally stopped trying to manipulate me. And in the end, I thrived, while she was forced to learn the hard way that entitlement won't get you anywhere.